I love you.
Welcome back. On the couch with Green and Faceless you are. Green Traveler I am.
I am the Faceless Leone, and I love the very well-timed dog's squeak.
Yes. Zelda. Annoying she is. Love her I do.
Yes, that's good.
I'll stop.
Well, you are the Green Traveler, so it works, I would say.
Yeah, Yoda's my dad.
Yoda's your dad? Okay.
Yoda's my dad.
All right. But nobody knows the lineage of the child.
No, I don't know him. He's not part of my family.
No, okay.
To my knowledge.
To your knowledge. Okay.
My dad could have had an affair, though. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, Yoda seems like he was a pretty spry guy. He can get around, I'm sure. And he had 600, 900 years to do it? Or something like that?
But yeah, he's pretty crazy. Old. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he is 900-ish. And those fingers can work magic.
Oh, all three of them.
Literally.
Well, yeah, we're talking about that world today with
the Mandalorian thus far.
Mandalorian, yeah. So this is coming out on the 10th, right?
No, this is coming out I think on the 17th. So it's coming out the day before the finale.
The day before the finale. All right.
Yeah, and we haven't seen the finale, and we're recording this before chapter 15.
Mm-hmm.
So we've only seen up to chapter 14. Just a forewarning to everybody out there. When we get behind the spoiler wall, we don't know the ending to this season yet.
No, we don't
probably
know
do.
Yeah,
you in the future do, and we here in the past do not.
If you listen to this before the finale episode airs, we don't.
They all die.
We will have some conjectures on what happens in the finale, but we're missing the penultimate episode, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy. They kill everybody in episode 14.
I know.
And then, it's like, what are you going to do episode 15? You don't have any of your characters left,
I know, jeez.
Ridiculous.
We'll just have
It's Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. So, I guess one of us should probably say the premise of this show. I imagine that people know what the premise is. It's so...
Yeah.
It's so... I don't know. It's drenching our popular culture right now. So
at least one character is, and I do expect that we should take a proper 10 minutes to talk about that one character.
Yeah, I think we're thinking the same character. It's everywhere.
Of course we're thinking the same character.
Yeah, so let's talk about just the premise. Like, act like the people who are listening don't know anything about the show.
It's a Western. If you don't know what the show is, you tell them it's a Western meets Star Wars.
That's a good way to describe it. I like that. The Mandalorian is so named because the main character is a Mandalorian, decked out in armor and stuff. So people
similar to Boba
Fett.
If you're huge fans of Boba Fett, you'll love the Mandalorian because he's of that lineage. Prior to this show, I hated Boba Fett. Everybody loves this guy, so it's like, oh, he's so great. He's like one of the best parts of the original show. He tails Han. He puts Han on a ship, and then he just gets like shot at a couple times and falls into the Sarlacc pit. He's not that cool. In the original trilogy, at least, in the 2 movies that he is in, he's not that cool. He doesn't do anything. He just gets his ass beaten and falls into a worm.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a lot of prestige built up about him, but
people loved him.
Yeah, I think he's cool, but I mean, like, whenever I watched it, I was pretty focused on the main crew.
I think it's the expanded universe that makes people love him so much, and I haven't spent much time in the books or anything, so I don't know.
Who knows what's canon anymore?
Yeah. Well, none of the books are technically canon, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've read the the Thrawn books, or I've read 2 of them. I haven't read the last 2.
I started reading I, Jedi. I don't remember who the author was, but I started reading it. I maybe got like 3 chapters in, and I was like, I have stuff to read for school.
I think that trend needs to end. The I blank, the I name. It's just, that needs to go away.
Sure. But see, that was that book's pretty old, so I feel like it was in the appropriate time period where that was okay to use.
That's fair. I just get so tired of it. It's everywhere. I'm just like, it's not. I hate it. It's just a stupid title.
Yeah, it doesn't. It means nothing.
It's just like you're just I am declaring myself I Greg, and it's like, no, that's not a good title. If I write my life story and it's called I Greg, just burn it. It's a stupid title. Just burn it. Just go ahead. I don't want to read it. But I Mandalorian is a Western.
Yeah.
About one specific. What's his name? What's
they call him Mando. They do mention his name in the first season, but I can't remember it offhand.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had it pulled up or not.
It's kind of in a latter episode.
Well, he's played by Pedro Pascal.
Very, very well.
Pedro Pascal kills it.
Yeah, he gets a lot out of that helmet. I mean,
and well, the best part about it too is, he's coming off of Game of Thrones. I think I haven't actually seen Game of Thrones, so.
Yep, he was Oberyn Martell.
Yeah, and he's he gets fame. Well, I mean, he was probably famous before that, but big name recognition from Game of Thrones. Anybody who's in that movie or in that TV show, you can choose your next project pretty easily, I think, because that show made everybody gold. So he has all these options available to him, I'm sure, and he chooses Star Wars, which is a great option, but a role in which he is hidden by a mask the whole time. But you never really see his face, and it's just such a unique option, but at the same time, another gold. He's turned it into gold. He's nailed this character.
Did a good job.
His movements are always precise and perfect. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's all Pascal or if Favreau is a good hand in making sure he's capturing the angle of his head.
No, I would lay a solid bet down that it's all Pascal, except for maybe stunt work. I'm sure there's
yeah. I don't know though.
Stunt doubles and
but
everything.
He does. I think he at least I was fairly convinced that he was doing some of the fights that Oberyn was in.
Yeah. I mean, he might do his own stunt work, but I don't want to discredit any stunt workers out there.
Me neither. I have no idea.
I would hope not. As a lover of stunt doubles and stunt work, I would hope that actors would just allow stunt doubles to be a thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing when Tom Cruise and Harrison Ford take their own punch, and it's like that is, it makes for a good scene. At the same time, those are other people's jobs too,
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to do everything, although it is funny to watch Tom Cruise fly up in a plane without a harness.
Idiot.
Hanging off the side of it. He just wants to die. He does. He's just like, fuck. He's like, I'm so in deep with the Church of Scientology and everything. There's Katie Holmes hates me.
Oh my god.
But here in The Mandalorian, to get back to that, Mando is tasked with the care. Well, not really tasked with that first, but it becomes his goal to care and protect the child.
The child.
Otherwise known colloquially as Baby Yoda.
Colloquially. Yes. Yeah. Baby Yoda. He's everywhere.
He is without a doubt, he is in the top 3 of my favorite characters of all time.
Yeah, you think so? That's funny.
And he doesn't.
I feel like
he doesn't do anything but make Gerber baby noises.
That's the worst part.
I love it. I love it so much. He's 50 years old and he makes
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's definitely a Disneyification of Star Wars. I will say, but I feel like their choice to make it like a Western made it not feel super Disney-ified.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because because when you say it's very Disneyfied, what that means is like it's very polished. You know, it's very safe, very cute, very lovable. And Baby Yoda is definitely all of those things. Mm-hmm. At the same time, he is in very real danger.
Yeah.
For most of this show.
Definitely.
And so it's like you're so attached emotionally. At least I am. Like everything he does, I'm just like, oh my god, I love you. You're so cute. And like he's just a little animatronic puppet. And with you know, they do something to the eyes, like the very watery and emotional eyes. Like it's very beautiful.
There's some good puppet work with the child.
Yeah, and I love him so much, and his relationship with Mando is great, and it's amazing what Pedro Pascal builds between him and something that's not real.
So he's got that's just another layer of challenge for this actor. Is that his main cast member is a puppet. It probably does not make the baby noises while they're shooting.
Well, I'm sure they play it on set still.
I don't know. Well, he I can't get enough props to Pascal because he's a lovable character. Like, you know, he starts off being cold and despondent, but his relationship with the child, you really start to see that there's a person under that helmet.
Well,
which is kind of
because
cool.
he was like, he was raised in, you know, in the Mandalorian way.
Right.
You know, it's like he only knows one way to be. And once he meets this kid, you know, it kind of opens up something in him that, you know, allows him to see differently, to look beyond his foundation.
Yeah. And I think something that is important to the show, this might be a spoiler, so maybe I should save it for the wall, but he does feel like he has a lot in common with this child. Like when he was a child, he felt like he was not nearly as helpless maybe as the child, but the child also shows remarkable powers. It's Star Wars, people. Somebody has to be using the Force.
The Mandalorians. They mentioned that, by the way. I don't know if you caught it in season 2. They say something about his M rate or his stats or something like that. They don't say Metachlorian, but they said his M something. And I'm just like, when they said that, I just tossed the fucking remote down. I'm like, no, Jon Favreau. you don't allow that to be a thing
I'm gonna make it cool, guys. Don't worry.
We just won't mention it again. Damn it. Although I do love what Jon Favreau has done. I think I've mentioned it before on this show. Maybe it was in a playlist, so maybe I'll mention it sometime in the future for the first time. But I've mentioned that I have a Star Wars trilogy planned, like a movie trilogy. Okay, and it's basically a Western. In my opinion, it is a Western sci-fi. And so to see Jon Favreau take a show and do that,
with the same universe,
and do it so successfully, it makes my heart sing. I'm so happy with this show. You know, this is what I want to do with this universe, and somebody's already doing it, which, you know, that's a detriment. But at the same time, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to talk to Kathleen Kennedy or anybody. So like, I doubt I'll ever see my movies get made. But to see somebody do that makes me happy. Yeah, because it proved that my theory of, you know, a Western set in Star Wars would be really amazing was right, because it's really amazing.
And, you know, like that world, it's, I guess, a galaxy, but that universe, rather,
it's far, far away,
really lends itself well to that genre too, though, because well, for one, there's a lot of desolate planets, and so the scenery is there. But just like the fact that you gotta wander from place to place, that's a pretty good epic Western feel. So I think it was definitely a good choice, and I would have to say I think this show really holds up better than the new movies.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed.
Yeah, I enjoyed the new movies enough. I enjoyed them more than the prequels.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see it come back. I was kind of hoping that they pulled the throttle back a little bit, like just let it go for a little bit and then come back to it. But when they came out with this, I was pretty fucking thrilled. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement because here's my Star Wars experience. I've watched all the movies, including the Christmas movie thing, whatever you want to call that. It's horrible. I think that's where Boba Fett first appeared too.
Is it really?
It was the Christmas. Yeah, I think so. It might have come out after Empire. I can't remember the timeline. But I've only seen the live action.
Maybe they had already started filming Empire and they're like, hey, I bring him in.
Yeah, sure. It's like, he's cool.
I'm sure that the production time for the Christmas special was a lot shorter than the movies.
Yeah, I bet it was only like 2 weeks and it was just drug induced.
Yeah.
But I've only seen the live action stuff. I haven't seen any of the animated shows, and I agree with you. I like sequel trilogy better than I like the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
I hate a lot of the prequel trilogy. There's some decent things sprinkled in there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's some interesting world elements in there, but
yeah. It went so...
I think that the story of the Empire becoming the Empire was interesting to see. I just wished that it was done.
Did he have to make it so political?
I don't know.
It's so steeped in politics.
Yeah.
But that's the issue with, they went from kind of a gritty, practical sci-fi to a flashy, heavily CGI'd, and just, terrible story in my opinion. But and then we got the sequel trilogy, which was again very flashy, but tried to get that atmosphere right. It tried to find that heart that was in the original trilogy. And in my opinion, someday we'll talk about all these movies, but in my opinion, the sequel trilogy falls short.
Yeah,
here
but it got a lot
Mandalorian, they did get a little closer, definitely. But here with the Mandalorian, they just found it. It's got that same practical feel. It's got the gritty sci-fi nature. It feels like a Western. The heart's there, the emotion and everything. And just like the absurdity of sci-fi is also just, enjoyed to quite an extent in the Mandalorian show.
I feel like something that the show benefited from was that it has enough time for this man who's pretty much against the world to be tactical and to overcome these obstacles without having to blast through it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, he does blast through some things sometimes.
Yeah. But it's not always just about his gadgets.
That's right. Yeah. He gets to show how he decides to do the things that he decides to do. Along with his allies he makes along the way.
Yeah, because when you're a bounty hunter with his reputation, people are out to get you.
Yeah.
And, he's always got to be watching his back. And now that he's trying to protect this, heavily wanted asset that is Baby Yoda, everybody's out to get him. Mm. And it reminded me, there's two shows that I'm reminded of from Mandalorian. That is Firefly, because of the sci-fi Western feel.
Sure.
I kind of like to believe this is what how happy I would have been if Firefly was able to continue on beyond its one season. And the other series is a graphic novel series that you and I love called Saga.
Oh yeah, the on the run feeling is there.
Yeah, and just like that wild sci-fi, everything goes nature. There's a giant sand dragon monster in the Mandalorian. They just go all out. They have fun. But in Saga, it's about a man from one planet and a woman from another planet whose planets are at eternal war with each other. They've always been fighting. They fall in love and they have a kid. And the governments of both of their planets find out about this, this half-breed.
Right.
And they send the entire galaxy after this couple. They want to kill this unnatural creature. And so the entire series is, this mother and father on the run trying to protect their daughter and raise their daughter at the same time. And, there's a lot of similarities that the Mandalorian and Saga pull with each other. And it's all about the emotion. It's all about that connection between the protector and the protectee.
I guess so. Yeah.
The protected. The protector and the protected.
Yeah.
Jesus. English is hard.
So, should we get into some other characters? Like, he's got some major allies. I feel like it's worth talking about. So I guess the first one you meet is it Graf or Grief? Karga. Karga's his last name. But anyways, Carl Weathers.
I don't even remember what they ever call him.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever use his name.
Eventually they
just kind of talk at him and he understands.
He is a disgraced magistrate, so some people call him magistrate. But he also leads the bounty hunter guild that Mando is a part of. Carl Weathers. So, okay. Hear what I'll say. And it might be a bit spoily, so I'm sorry. Karga they start hunting Mando along with the bounty guild because he broke the code, and then he switches sides at the end of season 1 and now is a staunch ally of Mando and the child.
Carl Weathers is the Vegeta type character where it's like he starts off except for it's not very much like Vegeta at all because he's very friendly with Mando.
Yeah.
Their paths are at odds with each other at first.
Yes. Definitely.
But throughout the show, they definitely become great allies.
I think honestly though, he's always liked Mando. It's just that
he's definitely respected.
Mando broke the rules, and as the leader of the guild, he had to do something about it.
He had to put his foot down.
Yeah, he had to put his foot down, but he was stepping over the line, and Mando is definitely more skilled and just talented overall. So it was a bit of a blunder on his part, but anyways, eventually he changes sides. Pretty cool stuff in the second season that happens with him. I feel like we could talk a little bit more in depth about Cara Dune because she is, she starts out being an ally. She's an ally throughout.
Yeah, but name drop who that is. Who plays her?
Gina Carano.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Super buff, super cool. She's a drop trooper from the rebellion. Also a bit of a rule breaker.
Just an all-around badass. And yeah, she carried my favorite weapon of hers is definitely that giant minigun that she just lugs around. Yeah.
It's badass.
Yeah, you said she was buff. I don't think that does enough justice to just how totally ripped she is.
She's ripped.
But every time she's in an action scene, she just carries the fight. It is so fun to watch her. It's fun to watch everybody.
Yeah.
Not Carl Weathers. It's not really much fun to watch Carl Weathers in a fight because he just kind of stands around and shoots a pistol. Just bang, bang, aiming perfectly. But to watch Mando, he's using gadgets and flipping, and he's performing well.
Yeah.
But watching her be a tank is epic.
Yeah.
She just tears through fight scenes. I love her.
This show, okay, so besides being Star Wars nerds, we're also the nerds who play Dungeons and Dragons. And watching this series, I just was especially on the rewatch, I was like, this is so D&D.
Yeah.
It's just good fun, and they make a good team, the three of them. But Mando, he tries to put on an air that he doesn't need any help, and so he'll call on his friends when he needs them, and then he'll leave. And
he's the lone wolf.
Yeah, and I think towards the middle of the second season, it came more to he's only leaving because he has to. but definitely at the beginning, he'd call a relationship over and just leave.
Yeah. I mean, he has to stay on the run,
right?
And then like sometimes he just like departs people, but other times those people are comfortable where he has left them.
Yeah.
It's like they come to a part in their mission where they're like, I'm more beneficial here to these people than I am to you on your run.
Right.
So he kind of just like, he eventually just drops and leaves people. Kind of like Saga, where they just come across people and just kind of leave them every now and then.
That is very true. Also, it's kind of like Final Fantasy a little bit. Like, people just kind of come into your party and then they leave a little bit. We're really showing our nerd today.
It's kind of like Pokemon when he has Squirtle, and then they go to that town, and Squirtle's like, you know what? I can be a part of this firefighting Squirtle team. Yeah. And he just leaves, and it's very emotional and you're sad about it.
It's kind of like the Power Rangers when the Green Ranger's like, I don't think I can help you guys anymore because my power is corrupted. And it's not like that at all, actually. Let's talk this bad guy. You want to talk about the bad guy?
You talking Giancarlo Esposito?
Yes, I am.
I am. Love him. First off, the dude kills it as Gus Fring in The Breaking Bad.
Definitely.
I said The Breaking Bad. In Breaking Bad.
The Breaking Bad.
And in here, he plays yet another villain as Grand Moff. Which one?
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon. Okay, maybe he's not Grand Moff. He's just Moff Gideon. I don't know the ranking of the Empire. I just know there's Grand Moff Tarkin and then now Moff Gideon. But he is... Yeah, he just drips villainy.
Yeah, but like also kind of ringing to that Gus performance too. He has more control than some other Star Wars villains, i.e. Vader,
or Kylo Ren,
or Kylo Ren. But
anger tantrums.
As far as I can tell, he's not a Force user, right?
I don't think so. He just has that dark saber.
Yeah, he's got that dark saber, which if you've looked up anything on the internet about this show, people are like, where'd he get the dark saber?
What is the dark saber?
What is it? Yeah, and I thought it was kind of cool that there's just this one line that he says about it in the second season. And it was just a little bit of exposition, and then the scene ended, and I was like, he really didn't have to say that for that scene,
right? Yeah, it was them dropping a little, just a little bit of information for the nerds.
Yeah,
and it was good. It's well delivered. Like, that's the nice thing about this show is like there's a lot of we have to explain it because it's sci-fi,
right,
silly.
Right. And he pulls out the saber, and he really didn't even need to pull it out for that scene.
No, he didn't.
To threaten that person. And anyhow, it's kind of cool. I like it.
So I say there's a lot about that episode that was unnecessary.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I feel like it was definitely one of those things where they wanted to get the plot to a certain point, and they were like, okay, this is how we do
it. They realized they were crawling along because they're taking too long to get to that spot with other episodes,
right?
So they're like, all right, we got to rush it now. We got to ramp up to this big event we're trying to get to,
right? It could have just done with one more episode.
But the thing is that it's never a problem. It never hurts, in my opinion. It never hurts the show because even if it was unnecessary, even if it does feel like a tad rushed, it's still so beautifully delivered that I'm just like, I'm still on board 100%.
For sure. I could see. Okay, let's just wait for the wall, because I feel like we could talk in depth about the problems that we have.
Well, but that mentioned, the wall mentioned, do we have anything else to say prior?
Do we have anything else to say prior?
Are there more characters or story things that we wanted to talk to before we build that bad boy?
I think we talked about like the most important recurring characters. I think we can move on.
Actually, before we do build that bad boy, I looked at my notes and remembered one person that I do want to mention before we build the wall is Ludwig Göransson, who is the composer.
Okay. Yeah.
He did the theme, which it's a very simple Western, like, it's just.
Yeah. But also feels sci-fi. I like it.
Yeah, it's his music here is beautiful. He's also done Creed, Black Panther, and we talked about him recently with Tenet. He did the soundtrack for Tenet, or the score, I should say. But like, genius composer, does an excellent job here. Just absolutely sets the atmosphere for this entire show, in my opinion. Like Ludwig Göransson, you're fucking killing it. So, all right, let's build that wall.
All spoilers it is. Hour 1, minute 23, section 45 you should skip to.
We are synchronized.
So, Faceless Leone, what is your favorite episodes of Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2 so far?
Season 1, I believe my favorite episode is The Sin, which is episode 3. It is the episode in which he drops off the child and then rescues the child and gets the kick-ass fucking armor.
Yeah.
The beskar. So beskar, if you guys aren't familiar with the show, is a metal traditionally found in Mandalore in which they build their armor from. And he is a shiny mirror man, and he gets it from doing the job.
It is impenetrable armor.
Yes. It's very good against blasters.
You know what it's also very good against?
What's that?
Lightsabers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Not that we
That's
find that out or anything. We're safe behind a spoiler wall. We find that out, guys.
It's pretty cool. But anyhow, in The Sin, that episode has Werner Herzog in it. He is billed as the client on IMDb here, but he is the one who puts out the initial bounty on the child. He takes the job not knowing, Mandalorian that is, takes the job not knowing that the target is a child. He finds that out, but he still finishes the job because there's a buttload of beskar on the line. And
plus, that's also the way.
That's also the way.
He's struggling right then to like know whether or not he's gonna go against it or anything.
Yeah, exactly. He, for one thing, the guy is clearly Empire or ex-Empire, because at this point in the series, the Empire has pretty much just lost the war. I think it's long enough
5 years.
5 years after the war. So
5 years after Return of the Jedi, at least.
Yeah. Okay. So the New Republic is very slowly asserting their dominance, and there's still some scragglers of the Empire around. So this guy's got stormtroopers on call. We all know they're useless anyways, so what's the point?
Yeah. That's actually, it's so beautiful how this show deals with the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Like, there's a moment where 2 stormtroopers are like shooting at a rock nearby or like a can nearby, and neither of them can fucking hit it, and it's only like 10 feet away, and it's like just missing every shot. And they're also just like mean, like they're all just like uneducated, mean brutes.
Mean,
So
I really like the 2 that were watching the child or taking the child in. They didn't know that the child was in there. Yeah, he's like, what's in
You got to look at it.
Yeah.
You got to look at it. I got to look at it for 5 seconds. I was scooping down and picked it up. It's like, that's not fair. I just want to take a peek at it.
It's like, no.
It's fucking good.
I don't remember any silly antics with the stormtroopers necessarily in this episode, except for they get slaughtered eventually by Mando when he comes back for the child, because also part of the Mandalorian way is to find foundlings and raise them in the way, or if they're not able to follow the way themselves, protect them until they can bring them back to their own kind that will protect them.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. I like that. What I really like about this episode is just this the struggle that he goes through of what he wants to do about this, because he is very much an honor-bound character, and two things are keeping him honor-bound to do this thing, even though the Empire is an enemy to the Mandalorians. One, part of the way is that when you take a job, you finish it. That's just it. Your word is your bond. That's the Mandalorian code. The other thing is it's also part of the bounty hunter's code, that he doesn't ask any questions, and once the job is done, he doesn't know anything about the job.
Yeah.
And so this other factor that's also part of the Mandalorian is conflicting with that, and that's you need to protect children. And,
yeah.
And so like a lot of the Mandalorians in his like little cove area are like, hey dude, why the fuck would you do that? And but he's also like, listen, I had to bring this beskar back. That's what his like their matron or the armorer, is that who it is? Is that what they call her?
Yeah, I think it's the armorer. Something like that.
She's kind of like their I don't know,
de facto leader.
Yeah, she's their leader of the Mandalorians, and the Mandalorians are painted in this show as kind of a religious organization.
Yeah.
Like they worship their tools
that we know of at them right now.
Yeah, as we know.
The Mandalorian, I should say the Mandalorians that Mando knows of.
Right.
Season 2 hints at other sects of Mandalorians.
That's actually something I wanted to talk about behind the wall, is because I did watch a good portion of the Clone Wars, and the Mandalorians are kind of throughout, and they definitely did not act like the what do they call the place that they hide out in, the cove or whatever. They did not act like this group of Mandalorians. So I was really curious, because they're both supposed to be canon, of how they would reconcile with that, and then they do, and that's honestly, I don't know if that is my favorite episode in the second season.
2. Yeah,
but it is a good episode, and
it really is.
It gives
a lot of backstory.
Yeah, exactly. I was looking forward to that information coming in. So the episode I'm talking about is Chapter 11, The Heiress. Mando, I'm having trouble right now remembering exactly what he was doing on this episode.
Yeah, he's just searching for another member of his kind, right? Because he's just searching for another Mandalorian, I think, and somebody points him to these to this area.
I think,
and then that's how he just kind of happens to meet them, because like
that's a pretty similar plot line to the first episode of season 2 as well, the Marshal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right that is kind of what was going on.
That's kind of the running thing of season 2, is like each episode, because one of the things about Mandalorian is it's structured episodically. There is a running storyline, but each episode kind of stands alone.
Definitely.
And that's kind of the running thing of season 2 is, he's, for the first half, he's just trying to find somebody to point him in the right direction so he can find somebody else.
Right, and exactly. So after this episode, like his focus in his quest does shift, because up to this point he is looking for more Mandalorians to maybe assist him and maybe give him an idea of where to go. And these Mandalorians that he comes across tell him to go find Jedi. Which I kind of felt like was what he was trying to do at the end of season 1 anyways, but
there was something that changed his, like, he couldn't find Jedi or something like that. He couldn't find any way to find Jedi, but he knew that other Mandalorians knew information about where the Jedi were. But they're also these three Mandalorians that he comes across are just wildly different from him in personality. Right. Most importantly, being, part of the, we haven't talked about it yet, but one of the big aspects of Mandalorians is that they don't remove their helmets.
Yeah,
Mando can never show his face.
Yeah, that is part of the way. These guys, almost immediately after meeting Mando, all remove their helmets. And he's like,
and it's like a shock to him.
Yeah, he almost kills them, I feel like.
And again, it's like the exact same thing with the Marshal. When he comes across the Marshal in episode 1 of season 2, he's like, oh, finally another Mandalorian who's wearing Boba Fett's armor.
Right.
Removes his helmet, and it's like very clear that it's not Boba Fett. And then at the same time, it's like he removes his helmet. It's like, oh, so this dude's not Mandalorian either.
Right. So when this group of Mandalorians remove their helmet, and also they all have blue armor, which from the animated series, all the Mandalorians in that series have blue armor. And in fact, the leader of this group, Bo-Katan Kryze, is a character in both the Clone Wars and Rebels, the two animated series that are supposed to be canon too. I haven't watched all of it, so I can't really speak too much about a character from it.
Actually, I watched one scene from Rebels.
Did you?
That's it. I watched. I don't know if it's spoilers for Rebels. Turn your ears off for 5 seconds. I watched the Obi-Wan, Darth Maul scene.
Nice.
That's it. Yeah.
Nice. I should watch that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Which reminds me also, they're doing an Obi-Wan television show.
Okay.
And it's set on Tatooine, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Very desert, all desert planet basically. And they're shooting it in Boston. How the fuck are they doing that? Like, I'm so confused. I just saw that this morning. It was just like, Obi-Wan begins shooting in Boston. I'm like, it's set on Tatooine. There's no sand in Boston. There's like a beach maybe, but it's like, what the heck?
Yeah, but the beach would be pretty hard to not get the ocean in.
Right.
Anyways, is it Ewan McGregor?
I'm not sure. I hope so.
Because honestly, he's still the right age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's also like the only person that like most people will accept as Obi-Wan right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Alec Guinness is obviously always Obi-Wan, but so is Ewan McGregor now.
But Ewan McGregor, like, that was the best part of the prequel series, was Ewan McGregor.
Hands down.
As Obi-Wan.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
He killed that role.
Anyways, Bo-Katan. I was not finished doing a little gush about her because I think she did a great job in this small role in this part, but I think it's so cool that is the same person who voice acted her in the 2 animated series.
That's really cool.
Who did the live action role of this character and surprisingly looks quite a bit like her. I mean, she's wearing a wig. But they try to make her fit into this animated character. And it definitely rang to me as like the character from, cause I couldn't remember her character's name offhand when I was actually watching the episode. But I had to look it up as soon as she showed up. And yeah, sure enough, it's the same lady even voicing her. And I was like, what a good job of transferring that character over to live action. And also for your Battlestar Galactica fans out there, she also plays Starbuck, which is pretty cool.
There you go.
It's really not.
I
haven't watched much of that series at all, so I really can't
haven't
tell.
either. Yet the nice thing about the Heiress too is, as a person who hasn't watched any of the animated shows, it stands alone again. You don't have to watch any of that to know anything about Bo-Katan or the Mandalorians or anything. It adds its own backstory to this show while maintaining everything set up in other shows. Like, it's really well done.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it was kind of an attempt to make anybody who might have been complaining about the order of the Mandalorian by making them separate factions that just happen to originate from the same place.
Which I have to say too, is if you're out there complaining about it, Mandalorian has played its cards so well, like this whole show, because it's doing everything so slowly, deliberately. You know, Jon Favreau is just telling a fun sci-fi tale, and when he needs to introduce these background elements, he does so.
Yeah.
But he doesn't just like throw everything at you at the front. You know, you don't have to. He doesn't lay it all out.
That was a big prequel problem.
It really was, and that's what's so brilliant about this series, though, is he just eases you perfectly into everything, and it's fun, it's enjoyable, it's lovable.
But I have to say, I'm not sure if I like that episode over the Jedi or not.
No, the Jedi is my favorite.
Yeah, so I mean, we could use that to segue in if you want.
Well, I haven't even said my favorite episode of season 1 yet.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, let's take a step back.
Again, I'm a blockbuster bitch, so it's no surprise that my favorite episode of season 1 is the finale episode. Because
it's pretty good.
That episode goes all out.
It does.
You know, crazy awesome fight scene at the end. It delivers all the emotion you've had building between Baby Yoda and Mando throughout season 1. You really just like fall in love with Mando's character, like hardcore in that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already in love with Baby Yoda, but like season 1 just solidifies everything about Mando's personality. The finale episode, that is.
Yeah.
You get Taika Waititi as, was IG-11?
Yeah.
He was in episode 1 as a bounty hunter robot, or droid, I should say. Mm-hmm. And now he is a nurse. He's been rebuilt as a nurse droid. Who is that little guy that built him in season 1? What was that guy's name?
I was trying to search through the cast list to get that for us.
There's a character that helps Mandalo that is like, he's an alien. He's, probably only Shanghai on Mando.
I just found it. It is, I'm going to mispronounce it. The character's name is Kuil. Is Kuiil. And dude, I just blew my own mind. It's played by Nick Nolte. Quill. Thank you. You're right.
Yeah. And Quill, he is just this gruff, and I didn't know it was Nick Nolte either. But he's this gruff, kind of just like older alien, and he's just so lovable. Like, I have spoken. Yeah, I kind of want to just like use that in every day. I have spoken. And just walk away from people. But he like grounds Mando and like helps Mando make decisions that were really difficult for Mando to make. Yeah, he repurposes IG-11 from being a bounty hunter droid to a nurse droid. And that droid, again, is voiced by Taika Waititi. And it's brilliant. Again, like, I love Taika Waititi. He's one of the...
We gotta do a Taika threesome sometime.
Yeah, we can easily.
I just watched the Wildebeest one the other day.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, well, it's easy. Jojo Rabbit, Wildebeest, and What We Do in the Shadows.
Fuck yeah.
Nailed it.
I haven't seen Jojo,
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, but Taika's brilliant, and like just doing a voice is brilliant. But you get a lot of good moments with him in the finale. The finale just delivers everything. He's got Giancarlo Esposito as the villain. Moff Gideon. Even though it's a little goofy at the end with...
Oh, when he gets shot down, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, he becomes a fighter pilot, and he's just like flying around, and it's just like, all right, we're getting a little Darth Vader, A New Hope right here.
Yeah, they always want to make the villain as much like Darth Vader as possible.
Well, that's their gold mine.
Yeah. Speaking of, like, quick tangent, in the most recent episode that we watched, was he wearing an android chest piece?
I don't know.
Because he definitely had some buttons on his chest that reminded me of Darth Vader's chest. Which, like, maybe he was injured during... I mean, he fell out of the fucking sky, so I would think that he probably got injured. But anyways, I just wanted to ask.
But yeah, there's nothing really else to say. Like, that's my favorite episode just because it delivers all the entertainment. Yeah, it
it's a good
recaps
episode.
Everything they've done for the whole season, and it's just wholly entertaining and just like nonstop action, and it's great. Honestly, that's also why The Jedi is probably my favorite episode of season 2, because the action is brilliant. And they bring in another character who I don't even have to have watched the animated series to be excited about when they brought her in. Because of the thing with Star Wars,
she's everywhere. Yeah,
is what's probably more popular than the movies is the merchandise.
Oh,
and
definitely.
when the merchandise of Osaka came out, I wanted that. She looked so badass, and I was like, "Oh, this character looks crazy awesome." And I watched clips about her, or like from the TV shows, and I'm like, I love it. And here we have Osaka coming into play in this show, played by Rosario Dawson.
She does such a good job. She does so good as this character. I really hope, I hope she gets more roles like this. I'm glad that she's getting into more sci-fi things, because honestly, that's what we watch the most. And but I do hope that she still gets to do other roles, that she doesn't get stuck in sci-fi.
I really hope they continue to use her as Osaka, unless people don't like her as Osaka. I really thought she was great, but I haven't looked at public reaction. People, she might not be the greatest person. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about her that was bad. But Rosario Dawson, I liked her before we started watching Daredevil and all those Netflix shows, but she plays the night nurse in that, and that's where I think, in my opinion, I fell in love with her acting.
Yeah, I mean, she's really good at it. She gets to be in several different shows. She's not. I don't think her character is quite as strong in the Iron Fist show, but I don't think there would have been a Defenders without her.
No, I don't think so. And I'm reading Bendis's Daredevil run right now, where the night nurse plays a kind of a big role in that show, or in that comic book run. And it's really cool to see the Netflix show just use her as the connecting force, when in the comics, from what I've read, she's not really that big of a character. She's just the person that all the superheroes go to if they get hurt. Not all of them, but the New York ones.
Yeah, especially Hell's Kitchen one.
And as Osaka, she just kills it. She
did great.
She's not the greatest action star, but she pulls out great action scenes.
I mean, I don't know if she did all her stunts, but she definitely does great movement work.
Yeah.
In this episode, I think she got some chances to do some movement and stage fighting stuff.
Yeah.
And more in the Iron Fist, which is kind of funny that was the one where I thought her character wasn't as strong. But honestly, none of the characters are strong in Iron Fist.
No. That one's bad.
Sadly, Colleen Wing is the strongest character, and there's still problems.
Yeah,
I think,
but she's awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome.
But besides just Osaka, you also get a lot of kind of father-son-ish moments with Mando and Baby Yoda in the Jedi episode, because Osaka's like, well, do I want to train Baby Yoda? It's like, he does have a high M count,
and she calls him Baby Yoda the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. There's no name given, but she's like, should I train him, or does he want to be trained? But she's just she kind of sensed that attachment, that fatherly attachment that Baby Yoda has for Mando, and it's just such a sweet I love it. It's so cute.
I mean, I think it just it's been being set up throughout the whole series, obviously, that they're very bond together, the child and Mando, but this really solidifies it to the point where in the next episode he is questioning whether or not he's going to be able to part with him.
And whether or not he's doing the right thing either, as by holding this kid, because the kid's powerful. It's he kind of feels he might be holding him back. It's just I'm just trying to protect the kid, and you can go out and be this powerful Jedi, and maybe the galaxy needs you. And
doesn't he even say, "Don't you want to do this Jedi stuff?"
Yeah. He's like, "Don't you want to?" But let's talk that most recent episode, chapter 14, I believe is what it. I don't remember what it's called.
Yes, the tragedy.
The tragedy.
It is a tragedy,
and we are hidden behind a spoiler wall, but I will say heavily up front if you have not watched any of season 2, or if you're not yet caught up before the finale is about to come out tomorrow. We're going to talk major spoilers with this episode.
Yes.
Because they bring in a big player.
Oh, yeah.
And before we talk that big player, I just remembered a big player that was name dropped in The Jedi that we didn't talk about.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned the only books that I've read of Star Wars were the Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy, which is now a tetralogy. I've only read the first 2 books. I haven't read the last 2 by Timothy Zahn, who is the author. He's amazing. But they name dropped Grand Admiral Thrawn. Ahsoka is looking for him specifically. Like she asks somebody, she's like, "Where is he?" And when they name dropped him, I'm like, "Oh, fuck!" I almost pooped my pants. It was so exciting.
Yeah, you probably got a husband bulge.
I did, definitely. But it's just like the thing with Grand Admiral Thrawn is he is a very different type of villain than what the Star Wars universe has put forth so far. You have, the cold Darth Vader, who is just violent and, gritty and has his nice little redemption arc. You've got, the wild, chaotic old man of Emperor Palpatine. And then you have the calm, collected general who is just, like, super intelligent and super, like, if you fucked up Vader's plan, he killed you. Like if you made one tiny error, he force choked you in front of a lot of people. That's not the way with Grand Admiral Thrawn. You mess up, you do get second chances, but you get reprimanded because he is just a general. He is, he's a commander of an army. He's got to have that iron fist, but at the same time, you don't kill your fucking people. It's that thing with we talked James Bond. It'll come out in February. We talked I can't remember which movie it is, From Russia with Love, where Spectre just kills their own people just at the beginning of the movie. It's just like just randomly killing everybody, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You don't kill your own troops like this.
Yeah.
But that's the big difference between Vader and Thrawn is Thrawn has that commander's presence. Vader, you're afraid of him. Thrawn, you respect.
Yeah, you do what Vader says because you don't want to die.
Yeah.
But you do what Thrawn says because
you respect him.
He's a good commander. Yeah.
Like, he's won wars. You fought for him. He has your interests at heart, it seems. Like, he's a good, like, just pristine, beautiful villain. And,
top-notch character.
And I've loved him in the books. So the idea that we might get him in the show, I'm super ecstatic about. I've heard he's
I hope that they don't just leave that as a name drop.
Yeah.
I hope that they do go into season 3 for sure.
Well, I've heard he's in like some of the animations, or like maybe the animations have talked him up too.
I think he's in Rebels.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not entirely sure though.
And that is a draw for me. Like, I would definitely watch that animation. I do intend to someday, but I'm a busy man and I don't watch TV.
I was honestly just kind of excited to hear that Osaka made it through the war in general.
Yeah.
Like, Vader was tasked with hunting down the Jedi and killing them.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why she didn't get killed, because they were too close. Like, I don't know.
Maybe.
We haven't seen that part of the story.
They might go into it.
They might. Maybe they do in Rebels. I don't know.
Yeah. That was a huge segue from one big player, because I was about to talk about
right, that's right, you were.
The most recent episode before I got completely sidetracked by Grand Admiral Thrawn.
By Thrawn.
Yeah, I was about to name drop who the most recent episode put forth. And that was Boba Fett himself. Yeah, we saw his armor in episode 1, and then lo and behold, he's come back to reclaim his armor from the Mandalorian.
That was another cameo. I know we want to talk about Boba Fett, but the guy who had his armor was
the Marshal.
Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, he was.
From
Deadwood.
Yeah, Deadwood, other things. It was really funny because the day before I was watching A Good Place and they just talk about Timothy Oliphant like all the fucking time. And so it was really funny to me to just, and I feel like it was it kind of felt like cameo for cameo's sake a little bit. Not that he did a bad job in the role. I honestly feel like he could have done a little bit better. I've seen better work from him.
Right. He's definitely he's like a cocky he is a cocky marshal is what he plays, but
that's right.
He doesn't deliver as well on the cocky marshal as he has on to other roles.
Exactly. And that's a little unfortunate, but all in all, I did like that episode. It was the most D&D of this.
It really was. And I just thought the monster stuff at the end was just ridiculous. And then it's got that.
Oh, did you? I liked the big monster,
but not in a bad way. I just thought it was like a little overdone, and like I was still enjoying myself and laughing, but like there's a moment at the end where he's just like, protect the child. You know, the Mandalorian's just like, I'm gonna go sacrifice myself. You protect the child, and he tells Timothy Oliphant to protect the child. I'm like, you don't know this fucker. Like, it's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you?
He's like. You found him in like the most desolate place in the world, in a world that's full of marauders and raiders.
Yeah, and I'm like, why are you leaving?
How are you gonna trust this guy?
Yeah, why are you leaving with him with this, this important kid that you fucking love with this weird guy?
Yeah,
and then of course, like he gets swallowed by the beast and blasts his way out of it. It's just that cliche. And I mean that the end of that episode is just a little over the top, but. Again, none of this show is bad in my opinion so far.
No,
especially when Boba Fett comes in. This last episode we watched, episode 14. Boba Fett comes back for his armor, played by the guy who did Django.
That's right.
In Attack of the Clones or whatever it's called, the second movie, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah, and I guess he was a little bit in the third movie too.
Yeah.
I don't really kind of remember that, to be perfectly honest.
I honestly don't remember either. I put a lot of those movies out of my mind.
I wanted to attempt his name and apologize beforehand. Temuera Morrison.
Temuera Morrison
plays Boba Fett.
Yeah, I started out this whole review by saying that I'm not a fan of Boba Fett. I don't think he's incredible in the movies. I know that he has a bigger presence in the expanded universe. I haven't read it. Therefore, my only experience with Boba Fett, he's weak and uninteresting. This show, this episode alone, made me love him so much. I'm on Team Boba Fett now, everybody, because he is so badass in this episode.
Yeah.
Once he gets his armor on, like even before that, before he has his armor on, he's whipping ass.
Yeah.
But once
when
he gets
fighting with that staff.
Oh yeah, that staff's pretty cool too.
Yeah, I think it's a Sand People's staff.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. Yeah.
Because he was stuck on Tatooine for a long time.
Forever. Well, it probably. Yeah, I was gonna say it probably took him years to get out of the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Once he gets his armor on. Hoo boy, it's so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's pretty fucking awesome.
But that's also one of the problems I have with that episode is before he gets his armor on, let's just say something happens to the child where he is a little indisposed, and Mandalorian's trying to get him to snap out of his indisposition, but the kid won't. And Mandalorian, instead of just staying by the kid and protecting him, which he's done throughout most of this series, he rushes off to fight oncoming stormtroopers who are landing. And when he goes down there to do that fight, Boba Fett just kind of steps in and kills everybody. And and Mandalorian and the other individual there are just kind of just like chilling out, just like, all right. Yeah, he's pretty badass. He just whooped out 20 plus people. That's pretty cool. Meanwhile, the kid is, something's happening to the kid that if Mandalorian hadn't just been fucking goofing around, he could have fucking stopped.
He could have, or done something about. I mean, they, who knows? Because he did they did drop some specialty units that seemed pretty.
Yeah, it would have been a fight,
intense.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it definitely just felt like
that would have been cooler. That would have been more satisfying.
It definitely would have if he had fought to try to save the kid or something happened. It definitely felt like one of the first moments of this show where they're just shoehorning something to happen.
Yeah.
And again, it's not bad. It doesn't ruin the episode. The episode's still pretty fucking awesome and intense and, heartfelt at the end a little bit. But it just I don't know. It felt like they had to get from point A to point B, and they had no idea how to do that seamlessly. And it was the first moment of this series where I'm just like, oof, Jon Favreau, you missed it just a slight bit, I don't know if he actually directed that episode. Well, he didn't. I know who directed that episode. It was Robert Rodriguez, and that's why the fucking action scenes were awesome. Robert Rodriguez just killed it. But I don't know if Jon Favreau wrote that episode. I assume he did.
I don't know. There's definitely some things, in that particular episode.
Some Favreauisms.
We kind of talked about it a little bit before we started recording. I feel like they just wanted to get to that particular plot point.
Yeah.
At the end of this episode. And so they came up with ways to do it quickly so that they could get everything done that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
I feel like I could argue that the Mandalorian was really frazzled by the two events that were going on.
Yeah.
And he's also expecting somebody to come that is supposed to be an asset. And so many things are going on that he makes mistakes. But he just hasn't yet.
Yeah, it's I don't even know if he expects something to come. He just expects something to happen.
Right.
He definitely does assume somebody is coming, but at the same time, he's like, I'm not sure if that's what this means. Maybe nothing's happening.
Right. Maybe.
Yeah, he's definitely in the most confusing position he's been in throughout the whole show. It's his actions his actions are justified.
Yeah, I would say that, but at the same time, he hasn't made big tactical mistakes like he does in this episode.
Yeah, it definitely felt wrong. He's definitely never left the kid alone before like this. It's if he leaves the kid alone, he's leaving him with somebody he trusts. Here he's just kind of like, all right, you're out in the open, but you're kind of protected. So, I'm gonna go down there and do my shit. But at the same time, I'm still on board 100%. I love so much about it that
I'm really excited for Friday to come around and
and that's the other thing.
The penultimate episode, and
I feel like one reason I'm in love with this show is again, it's not just dumped for you to binge watch.
I do like the release of it.
I do too, because it's just every weekend rolls around, I'm like, I finished everything I wanted to do today. What should I do? Oh, that's right. The new episode of Mandalorian came out. I can watch it. And it delivers all of the, when the cliffhangers happen, in a binge watch show, it's like, oh, cliffhanger happened. Gotta keep watching. Whereas with this, it happens and I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? And I want to speculate. I want to talk about it. I talk to my friends.
Right.
I look online. I see what everybody else is saying. It builds that hype.
That is something nice about a show being released once a week, is that everybody, if they've been keeping current, is on the same page.
Yeah.
So you can talk about it and speculate and build the hype, like you said.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. I agree.
But
I also still love watching binge watch shows.
Yeah.
Because
but that's the problem with a binge watch show, is if you want to talk to your friends about it, you have to preface the whole conversation with, all right, guys, I watched episode 4. Where are you guys at? It's just I want to talk about things that happen in episode 4, but at the same time, I don't want to spoil anything. Somebody's going to be like, oh man, I'm in episode 6. I'm not going to say anything because, it ruins the ability to just discuss it until for sure everybody's watched it. And that's what I love about this show is, I can go to work and I can speculate with the people who've watched it. And it's part of the reason I watch shows like the CW shows, like Arrow and The Flash. They're not good shows at all, but the fact that they're weekly basis, I was still entertained. I only had to deal with 1 hour a week, and it's goofy and silly, and I was able to walk away and speculate.
Sometimes it's hard to deal with more than that.
Yeah, if I was binge watching those shows, I would have quit after like 5 episodes. Kind of like, this is just bad television. But watching it, once a week, and then being able to speculate with you and other people, like, that made the show more interesting to me.
For sure.
And that's part of the beauty of The Mandalorian. Is because I finished watching this last episode, and I was like, bro, here are my thoughts in this last episode, no spoilers. And I just sent you 2 GIFs that was like my thoughts of that episode.
Yeah, I remember. And I remember kind of agreeing with what you sent after I watched it.
I don't remember the GIFs. I remember one of them was a pro wrestler just doing like building your stamina, just like, ah, like I was so powerful.
Yeah, and the other one was somebody like running their fingers through their hair frantically,
like stressed. Yeah,
yeah, very stressed.
And that was that episode.
That was that episode. Yeah, I was definitely the Jedi episode made me excited to watch it, and everything that happened. I can't believe how much in this season in particular they've tried to tie in characters from other parts of the verse. And the beauty of it is they're doing it so perfectly. You don't have to know these characters to that's true, to have them introduced to you. Like the way the show introduces them, great. Yeah, they don't have, you don't have to know them out of the context of the show, but if you do, it's an extra layer of excitement that they're a part of this story too. So Greg, I was wondering, do we want to each maybe pick out our least favorite episode, just in general? Or should we cut it off there? I'm trying to think of what my least favorite episode would be. For me, I guess it would be, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's like The Passenger or something. I don't think that's the right episode. It's that the heist. The one with the frog lady? No, actually, no. I love that episode, so I'm sorry. That is the title of that episode. I'm thinking of the heist episode. The Prisoner. Thank you. I love a lot of things about that episode, but that is the one I kind of go back to as like remembering not liking it the most because there's so little Baby Yoda in it. It's yes, it like seems 2 a little minutes, out of place. Minutes. But it has Richard Ayoade as the voice of the droid in that, and I mean I don't think I've mentioned it on this. If there are 3 people I want to ever play the Doctor in Doctor Who, it's Letitia Wright, who is Shuri, Black Panther's sister in the movies. I want Letitia Wright. I want Richard Ayoade from the IT Crowd and the droid in this episode, and I want Rupert Grint, Ronald Weasley. Those are the 3 people I want to play the Doctor in Doctor Who. And I've heard you say that before, but I've also heard you say Idris Elba, so I thought you were going to say that time. People have mentioned Idris Elba. I don't think Idris would be a good Doctor, honestly. I think he would. He's too big name. And I feel like those 3. I feel like Letitia Wright's about to become huge big name because I feel like she's gonna be the Black Panther. I would assume. We will have to see, but I think that's a good way to take it. I think she would deliver such a perfect Doctor. She'd be fun just because of her presence as Shuri and Black Panther. She brings everything that I see in the Doctor and can make it her own. Would that make her the youngest? I guess it depends if and when they do it. If they made her Doctor Who? Yeah. No, because Matt Smith was like 20, like something. He was pretty young. I guess I don't know how old she is, but I figured she's in her early 20s. Yeah. But I mean, if they cast her like right now, maybe, but I don't imagine they'd cast her. I don't think Jodie Whittaker's leaving the role for any time soon, which I'm okay with that. Well, that's nice. How'd I get to Doctor Who? Oh, Richard Ayoade. Like I said, this is us showing our nerd episode. But Richard Ayoade is the voice of the droid, and he's the only reason I really love that episode. Everything else about that episode I could kind of forget. I like the performance of some of the heist members. I like this is kind of one that ranks pretty low for me too. She plays, oh man. So first off, you got comedian Bill Burr in this episode, which I thought was kind of a weird mix. And they're it didn't work for me. Behind a spoiler while they're going to bring him back into the show this season. Oh, really? He does a good job, but I just thought it was a weird mix into this universe.
Yeah, he definitely does do a good job, but it's one of the performances that doesn't work for me because he's just trying to double cross Mando, and it's so obvious that everybody there is trying to double cross Mando, like just because of how they act. Then they're just like, why are you involved in this? Like, what is this mission that Mando's doing in this episode? It's just like, it's so stupid to me.
Yeah,
I know he has to.
I think it was just for money. I think.
Yeah, there was some reason he had to do it, but I just did not like it.
But one major redeeming thing from that episode, because like you said, I don't think any of these episodes are necessarily bad.
No,
like I think the production value on them is too high, really, for them to be bad.
And Disney's fist is too powerful for them to fail.
Yes, yeah.
Although I do think they give Jon Favreau enough reign. I feel like I don't feel like Disney's stepping in and being like, John, you got to do this or this. I feel like it definitely seems like his creativity is not being hampered on, hindered. Yeah,
which I appreciate. Like, I feel like Jon Favreau for us is pretty hit or miss. Mm-hmm. I really liked Chef. Did you ever see that?
I don't think so.
I think it's called Chef.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I hope it's called Chef. But anyways, it's really good where he plays a chef. That's a good movie.
Yeah. I mean, directing wise, I feel like he's always a decent or great director. Like he never is a bad director. Yeah.
He's always competent.
Yeah.
Yes. I will say that.
But it's just like there's Mandalorian and Iron Man Jon Favreau, which is good, really good. Mm-hmm. And then there's Jungle Book Jon Favreau, which is visually beautiful and really greatly done. Yeah. Did it need to happen? No. And why are we continuing to do this, Jon Favreau?
I don't think that we will disagree that it didn't need to be done, but it is it's one of the ones I enjoyed the most out of the remakes. So good way to go, Jon Favreau.
But they're putting him, but every single one that's like all CGI live action, they're making him the helm of like Lion King. Yeah, Jon Favreau.
I don't know if like he'd signed some kind of contract with Disney or something.
I think he's just like very interested in it. I don't know, again, like I'm speaking out my ass, but to me it seems like he's interested in that technology and he's interested in further pioneering that.
That's fair.
Yeah, and it's like because again that the technology they're using for those movies is incredible, and it's beautiful.
I think it's interesting. Sure.
It's definitely interesting, and I feel like that's the only draw for Jon Favreau is he likes that kind of filmmaking.
Getting to be able to build his world past the imaginable is pretty good.
And I mean, he's kind of doing that with Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. It's like live action man talking to animatronic puppet, and he's building that emotion just through. Yeah, I mean that's mostly Pedro Pascal. Let's be honest.
Yes, and there's a lot of practical effects. A lot more practical effects in The Mandalorian than in those CGI Wonderlands. But anyhow, I wanted to talk about The Prisoner a little bit more. I really wanted to mention, because I really enjoyed her performance, Natalia Tena. She plays Cyan, I think is how you'd say her name. But the lady who has the snake... worm head thing. I don't remember what the race is called.
Yeah, the tubular.
But, the tubular thing. And she throws knives, and she's, she just does such a great job. Yeah. And, people will remember her from her work in Game of Thrones and Harry Potter. And
right, she was Tonks.
She also does music too.
She was Tonks in Harry Potter, wasn't she?
That's right.
Yeah, well, I didn't know who I knew who she was, but I never hadn't compared that actress to anything. Like I just remembered her from something. I was like, man, I can't place her.
She also has a really, really interesting music. You should check it out. I don't remember what her group's name is, but it's definitely interesting kind of stuff that's up our alley.
Nice.
So you should check that out. But I wanted to mention that she was one of the big redeeming qualities of that particular episode. Not that it was a bad episode. I just felt like it wasn't a needed part of the story.
No, it didn't. It didn't really push the story along much. It's overlookable.
Yeah.
Not unwatchable, and not that you should overlook it though. Again, every episode is great. Highly recommend Mandalorian.
I agree. And watch the Prisoner episode. If it was like a Star Wars short, it would have been very worth it.
Yeah.
By itself. Like you said, each of these episodes stand alone pretty well. I would say if it wasn't that episode that was my least favorite, I'd honestly say it was probably The Siege, which you learn a lot of information, so it's an important episode to the plot. But when he goes back in season 2 and teams up with Carl Weathers and the drop trooper again, they go to this scientific facility, and I just felt like while there was a lot of important plot stuff, that particular episode felt like it was like, okay, we got to hit these beats.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like, it felt like some of the heart was missing from that particular episode.
Yeah.
I was honestly, when I asked you the question, the first one that popped into my head was The Prisoner, because I think it's the least needed episode.
Mm-hmm. It certainly is. And I definitely understand what you were saying with The Siege, because I definitely had the same thoughts with that episode, because I remember picking up my phone quite a lot during that one, where I was like, all right.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
But most of those like kind of episodes where it feels very textbook and formulaic, the action is usually on point, then I'm like, I'm still into this. But there's just something about The Siege where I was just like, I definitely was kind of zooming out. But The Prisoner is the one that stands out. But
there's definitely some cool stuff that happens in The Siege.
Yeah.
And that's when the main characters realize that Moff Gideon is still alive.
Yeah,
after they shot him out of the sky.
Which when they had that moment when they're just like, he's dead, I'm like, bitch, you just shot his fucking jet down. Or it's just like, what are you talking about?
I mean, that would kill most people, I think, is what they're saying.
But I don't know. I don't know about that, because it's like you see a lot of in Star Wars, you see a lot of ships that are just like crashed and there's no bodies in the pilot seat or anything. I feel like the only times people die in the fighter jets or whatever, like the starships, is when they literally just blow up into smithereens. But most of the time
in outer space, yes, definitely.
But most of the time and throughout the entire series, if you see a ship get hit and it doesn't explode, everybody on board's typically fine.
Yeah, people find a way to live in this universe for sure. I mean, they cut Darth Maul in half, and we all know he came back.
But it's just like, and that's my issue with the whole thing, is just like, when you're like, he's dead, I shot him down, I'm like, bitch, why do you think he's dead? You didn't go check the wreckage site for the body. Like, that was another issue I had.
There. Rightfully so, they got out of there. Like, get the hell out of Dodge.
But they didn't, because Carl Weathers and
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, what's her name? I'm blanking on her name now.
Cara Dune.
But Carl Weathers and Cara Dune, they stay on that planet and they don't go check the wreckage. Nobody goes and checks the wreckage to make sure that Moff Gideon's dead.
No, they
don't.
What
is wrong with you? Go get the body.
Yeah, and he basically like rules the planet at this point.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers, which we're never going to refer to as Grief Cardin.
No, I don't think I can't remember them ever using his name. Literally, I just can't.
I don't remember. I think Karga. I think they use Karga.
Maybe.
I don't remember.
I feel like you just know it's Carl Weathers. It's just like you just look at him, it's like Carl Weathers. I feel like they call him Carl Weathers.
Yeah. they say, yeah, I'm gonna go talk to Carl. This is a minute.
Yeah, give me a second. I gotta go talk to Carl Weathers.
Well, I think we talked enough about spoiler stuff.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, if you haven't had the chance to go and watch this show, Go watch this show. It's very worth it. Even if you're not a Star Wars fan.
Yes.
Like it has... it has good stuff for people who are not versed in the verse.
Buy Disney Prime, you should.
Buy Disney Prime, you should. But you know, Plus? If you don't like Disney, there's reasons not to. I'm sorry.
I said Prime. Buy Disney Plus, you should.
You did say Disney Prime. Well, I don't know, man.
That's it.
What else we gotta say?
No, I think that's it.
That's it.
Highly recommend Mandalorian. Check it out. Season finale's coming. Season 2 finale's coming out tomorrow. We are not paid by Disney. Please pay us, Disney. As a Star Wars fan, this is one of my favorite entries of the entire franchise.
I'll agree with that.
And it's something that, you know, there's so many times where I'll watch a show and I'm like, oh man, I'm so worried they're gonna fuck it up. Lost, when the writer's strike happened, I was like, oh no, I think they're gonna fuck it up. It's starting to get bad. You know, the week by week episodes were coming out, and I wasn't feeling that great about them. You know, Doctor Who, every time they switch doctors or show writers and everything, I'm like, oh no, you know, I'm like, I have faith in these people, but I really hope they stay true to, you know, to what I love about this show. And but this is one of those shows that they've delivered so perfectly each time that I haven't really felt worried that Favreau's gonna mess it up. You know, it's
no.
As long as you don't kill Baby Yoda, you've got a golden show.
Yeah, I think as long as they let Favreau run out whatever plans he has for the show, it's gonna turn out pretty good.
Yeah,
and I don't think that Disney has any reason to take the reins away from him. I mean, he's proved with 2 seasons now that he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's proved with 2 seasons, and he's proved with like 10 movies. Like, Disney and him are tight.
Right. Yeah.
He's made them. He's made them hella bucks.
That's for sure.
That's why they're probably giving him so much free reign. Is just
more
like,
than
we
Nikki?
have faith in you.
Do you think more than Nikki? No.
If we're not counting for inflation, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Well, I've been the Faceless Leone.
Green Traveler, I have been.
Safe travelers. Safe travels. And good night. Do you thirst for adventure? Do you search for laughter and friendship?
Ha 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 ha!
Then don't miss the adventures in Valagorn! Welcome to a new world of fantasy, fun, and action! Coming to you as a monthly serial starting on January 19th of 2021. And brought to you by the imaginative people of FictionWorks 19. Starring Greg Callahan as Raphael Anastas Magoo, Sarah Christ as Vashti Whisperwind, and Kenneth Glynn as Pai Sho Wukong. We'll see you in Valagorn. The Adventures in Valagorn. Hey there, couch potatoes. This is the Faceless Leone here. Tell you about our new addition to the show. We will be bringing to you 2 episodes a week, starting on Monday the 4th of January, 2021. I'll tell you, thank you for letting that year be over. We're going to bring in the new year nice and strong, 2 episodes a week. Do our regular thing Thursday. Nothing's changing there. But on Mondays, we are now going to be bringing to you playlists. We're going to start off with watching the Disney movies, the OG Disney movies from chronological order. We'll break it up there with some other things. Who knows what we might do. But we're looking at some long series of movies. Anyways, we hope that you, the listener, the potatoes at home, enjoy it. Safe travels. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. If you'd like to give us a comment, please visit us at facebook.com/greenandfaceless. There you'll find many links to our show and to our website. Thanks for listening.